All right, a little bit of an emergency broadcast of the Brian Escow show. Now, I shouldn't use the word emergency. I mean, the sky's not falling, but another tragic killing. Of course, I'm talking about a Mr. Alex Pretti in Minnesota. So, for better or for worse, I want to give my comments on it. It's probably not smart to do a video like this. It's never wise to comment on something, as it's happening on video, but I'm gonna do it because I'm in the game, so it is what it is. Um, I'll give you my 2 cents, but first, let me say a few random things. This is what I like to do. If you're familiar with my show, I have a main topic and then maybe a couple bullet points. This is gonna be extremely quick, the bullet points. I just randomly want to share a few thoughts with you, and then I'll get into my analysis of the Preddy situation. So, welcome and thank you for being here. Certainly trying times, right? Every day. Okay. So one thing I've been saying recently is the beauty of discovering new artists, new musicians on social media, and it happened again today. This guy Spencer Carlson, his Instagram handle is just Spencer Carlson Music. I don't know, man. I just like he's brilliant. Another brilliant singer-songwriter with his guitar, blowing my mind, and he's putting out a song every day. This guy is like some genius, and in his bedroom apparently. It's just another example, and so it's so cool. And you wonder, if all the talent is going to get, is going to be able to support itself. You would hope so. You would think so in this day and age with the democratization of talent. You don't need, and you don't, what do you need? You just need this to get an audience. Does that translate? Who knows? But it's cool that you can discover talent like that. And so I'm just having a blast the last few weeks, rediscovering music and playing music of my own, and it's fun. So that's a good thing, a really good thing. I want to get back into playing basketball too. Music back. I kind of ditched that when I went to law school. What was it, 7, 8 years ago at this point? Haven't picked it up since. Same with basketball. So that's next. If I do that, I'll be back, baby. The other cool thing is I just bought a subscription to the Peterson Academy, the Jordan Peterson Academy. It's the online videos of different lectures, basically, and quizzes, apparently, of various subjects: psychology, philosophy, history, all of that great stuff. And so I said, you know what? That's a good spend right there. Because I've gotten into audiobooks. I've listened to like two or three, but I've really gotten into podcasts. I've actually really become a podcast listener. All these years I've hosted it, I never really listened, but Jesse Michaels, Joe Rogan, um, even Tucker I listen to. Who else am I listening to? Yeah, whoever, it doesn't matter. But learning by listening, I did all of the lectures in law school that way, studying for the bar exam. So to think that you can have at your fingertips, at your earbuds, I should say, all of this knowledge is very, very intoxicating. So taking advantage of it, and I feel good about that. Sip of tea. I chose pink today. How'd I do? It's not my color. Never again. So dig in the Peterson Academy. Just started that. And the last thing I wanted to say is on the entertainment side, the other side of the entertainment coin, I should say, the movie TV show side. I've gotten Alexa into Daredevil, the originally on Netflix show. It's on Disney now. The 2015 3 seasons show, Daredevil, which was so incredible. We're watching that because I want to watch it wasn't a reboot, but it was a continuation many years after, called Daredevil Born Again, I think. And so I want to check that out. So we're checking that out. Then we're going to get into Game of Thrones. She's never seen that. So we've got a lot of good stuff on the horizon. We watch a lot of stuff and we love it. So thank God for the comedians, the writers, the musicians, the actors. This makes the world go round. And I'm into Pluribus, by the way, which is a show on Apple. Um, about So it's really good. It's really good, but Alexa's not interested. I also watched The Three Body Problem on Netflix. I was into that. I'm looking forward to the second season, also about aliens. Won't go down that rabbit hole for right now, but if you follow my show regularly, you know I've had a lot to say about aliens in recent months and years and had some interesting experiences that make me go, holy moly, maybe there's something going on. But that's not for this episode. All right, let's talk about the news of the day. The reason for this episode. It's horrific, man. The first thought is another killing that we see. But just like the music that I was talking about on social media, we're seeing everything in this day and age, and that just is what it is. And so it's obviously horrific to see the woman get stabbed to death randomly by a psychotic person on a train. It's horrific to see Charlie Kirk get murdered on live television. I mean, it keeps coming, and it's obviously horrific. But the only thing I would say on the other side, if there is another side to it, is that if there is any sort of upside, is that it does remind you of the fragility of life. And so that's good, but it is what it is. This is reality, baby. Welcome to the show, and we're seeing it. Excuse me while I take another sip. So it's another killing, and it stinks. It just stinks. I'll tell you the mistake I made. I did not make this mistake on the Renee Good killing. I felt like I had a good take on her. I did a video. I thought it was appropriate. And in this case, I may have had a slightly inappropriate initial tweet with the Pretti thing. I didn't see the larger clip that I eventually saw, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on in a second. But I initially said something like, "What a tragedy!" But why you would bring a gun to obstruct the law enforcement operation is beyond me. Something just like that. Real, just kind of lazy. And then I saw the larger clip, and I go, "Ooh, no, that's not my statement." I deleted that, and I put out a different tweet, which I think I'm comfortable with. Um, but it's a horrible thing. And so, what are my 2 cents? Let's go. What am I commenting on? Let's explain the clip. So what's going on here in this clip is the camera begins rolling and we're in the middle of the action. We're in the street. We're already shuffling. There's multiple agents, multiple protesters. And it appears from what we can see, context is obviously missing. And this is only a partial analysis, obviously. But we see what looks like an ICE officer push a woman away from him. Looks like an offensive push, but I'm just saying that's what it looked like. And then you see a man, well dressed, good posture, looks well taken care of, with his back straight, phone in one hand, recording, hand up in here, clearly having the instinct to protect the woman from the shove, and puts himself in between the officer and the woman. And the next thing you know, there's a swirl of officers and 2 other protesters, and they're pushing and shoving. Well, first of all, let me not say next thing you know. The officer then bear maces the shit out of Mr. Pretti. And they were already, I think, bear macing the other woman. And I'm not here to say whether or not that was proper or not. I don't know. What I can tell you is, instead of saying, and then the next thing you know, let me be more precise. They're bear macing the shit out of him. His hand remains up, and it just immediately turns into this 5 guys on one, and they're wrestling him with him on the ground, and it's not looking good. It sounds like anything could happen at any moment, but you're not expecting what happens next to happen. Next thing you know, now it's okay to say that because this is truly where hell breaks loose. There's 5 guys trying to wrestle him to the ground. He's, I guess, resisting a bit, but by no means did Pretti have any sort of aggressive posture, did it seem to me, beyond potentially, you know, physically resisting, which you may categorize as aggressive. And I'm certainly not saying anyone should be resisting arrest, but they bear mace the shit out of him. Excuse me, sip of tea. They bear maced the shit out of him, and then they struggled with him. And at some point, because Pretti was carrying some serious duty firearm, not that there's anything that wouldn't be serious, but a real weapon. Somehow, people are saying he took it out. From what I can tell, it looks like he was disarmed, but it was a kerfuffle, and there was some. It's just so crazy. Someone says gun, gun, gun. They discover he has a gun, whether one agent disarmed him and then dropped it. And this gun is apparently notorious for firing inadvertently. Was it dropped? There's confusion. Things happen quickly. And one of the agents whips out his gun and just, people say it was in the back. It's hard to say. He just puts bullets in him right there. You just see it. And you just go, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was a really bad job explaining the clip, but do we get the vibe? Let me see if I can clean that up at all, and then I'll give my take. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened in the clip. We don't know what happened before, but Pretti looks like a fine character. Phone, hand, in between, bear mace. She's getting bear mace, I think, over here on the floor. Now, the strange thing is that it seems like at one point, Pretti is then kind of wrestling aggressively with her, the woman that he was just trying to protect. So that was a little strange, but it was nothing crazy. But he was already maced at that point, so maybe he was just having a reaction, not know what was going on. I don't know. But then they start wrestling with him, and it's just so tragic. And he shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have been there. And they shouldn't have. I don't want to say he shouldn't have stepped in and to protect a woman, because I probably would have done that too. But none of them should have been there. But the situation. So let me give my take on this disaster. You know, I could do a really interesting video where I give a precise lawyerly analysis, and maybe I should have done that, but I'm not going to give you my ultimate verdict on whether I think it's justified or unjustified. Hint, it doesn't appear that it was justified, but I'm not willing to say that it's obvious that it was unjustified. Let the law play out. This is a disaster. It doesn't look good. It shouldn't have happened, but I can't pass judgment on law enforcement. And that's the one mistake I made in the revised post I wrote. I said it didn't look justified, and it doesn't, but that doesn't mean it wasn't. Okay. So my take is he's a lawful gun carrier. You know, he had a permit, right? Concealed carry, and that's fine. That's good. No problem with that. He did not appear to do anything aggressive, really, outside that one head scratcher with the woman on the ground. This guy, much like Renee Good, and look, if she really did hit him and this whole thing, you know, I gave my take on her, but in a way similar to her, probably didn't deserve to be shot to death. But will justification click in? We will see. You got to let the law play out in both cases, but here it's just a mess. So my take, yeah, he shouldn't have been there. Should he have had a gun? Well, you're allowed to carry. Do I think it's a good idea to bring a gun when you're planning on, at the very least, confronting, if not obstructing? And they probably were previously, right? You know, I don't want to speak to it because I haven't seen more than the clip, but let's be honest. We know that there's a coordinated network. The signal chats the story is out there. And so let's assume that they're part of a big coordinated network to obstruct and impede ICE operations. I think that's probably illegal. I think it's disaster. I think it's a horrible idea. And you wouldn't find me participating in that. You wouldn't find me participating in that with a gun. I'm just a different guy like that. And then maybe, and he's just a different guy. And I respect his passion, right? In a sense, but, um, and I don't want to judge him because I don't know him. And maybe I saw one picture, and if it's real, it's like, oh, he was into some freaky shit. But hey, that doesn't necessarily mean he was a bad person. So it's so my take is it's really bad what unfolded, and ultimately they should not have been there. Megan Kelly had a post, and I just reposted it saying, just don't impede. You put your when you do that, you assume the risk. Now, assumption of the risk is a defense in torts, like when you buy a baseball ticket to a baseball game and and the foul ball gets hit and it hits you in the head. Can you sue the stadium? Can you sue the stadium owner? Can you sue the baseball team? No. Why? Because, well, there's implicit assumption of the risk. You know, the nature of the game is that the foul ball could come, and so assumption of the risk would invalidate any any claim you would have for battery or whatever you might want to claim, negligence, something like that. Negligence. It's a defense to negligence, right? The explicit assumption of the risk, it probably says on the back of your baseball ticket. I'm just kind of parroting stuff I remember hearing from first year torts. Um, the ticket itself will probably say you assume by here you assume the risk and blah blah blah. So so Megan's talking about assumption of the risk, and that's a civil defense. You know, it's a defense to negligence. It doesn't really help you when you're getting bullets put in you. But yeah, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be. You assume the risk was her point. You putting yourself in danger, yes, and others in danger, yes. So I'm not saying he deserved it. I'm not saying the killing was justified. I'm not passing judgment on it. But number one, he shouldn't have been there. Number two, what can I say about the officer's actions? You don't want to judge. I don't want to be the guy that judges from an armchair, you know. But because that's a hot situation. I mean, the guy has a gun, but are we looking at a situation where it's just a communication issue and it's just a total tragedy of genuinely just like a genuine tragedy where there's a mistake? What was going on in this officer's head when he pulled that gun out and just did he just hear gun? They were yelling gun because they found the gun. Did the guy just disarm him and then say, I got a gun, got a gun, got a gun, I got just oh my gosh. Does this change fundamentally anything? No, I don't think it does. I really don't. Doesn't it doesn't mean the Democrats are right. It doesn't mean Trump is wrong. It doesn't mean I shouldn't support ICE. Um, no one wants to see this kind of stuff happen. And we need to all be smart and protest in the right way. I'm not saying you can't bring a gun to a protest. I'm saying I wouldn't. You know, if I end up becoming a movement leader, I'm probably gonna. I can't see myself going. All right, you know what? Bring your fucking gats. Actually, like, no. What are you doing? I'm not saying he deserved to die. That video, he's got his hand up, back straight, like a hero. Honestly, and then chaos. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Well, we don't need this. Um, I don't know. Maybe we do. Let us all uh, pray, hope, whatever you do, act in accordance with a way that will try to bring about the result of more peace, better relations, more understanding. Let us roll in a better direction with these tragedies. I hope they serve that purpose. Let's try to make that happen. Otherwise, we're just going to continue going down a dark path. Just, I don't want to be one of these guys just saying the Democrats and encouraging, but I wouldn't be encouraging this. I would not be encouraging obstructing, impeding, confronting. You want to record, and that's what I'm saying. Like in the clip, all I saw is a guy recording and then coming to the protection of a woman, and you go, well, geez, what an absolute disaster. Now, again, maybe I should have, because that would be a really interesting, the actual breakdown of self-defense in that situation. But it comes down to objective threat, stuff like that. And I'm not saying that that officer will not be protected by the law. He very well may be. And I'm not saying I would be upset by that outcome. I'm saying, what's my take? I'm saying that was an absolute tragedy. I'm not sure why the officers continued to did they make a mistake in how they bear maced, or was it just perfectly on protocol? Was it perfect? But it sure looked like he pushed this woman, and gosh knows the context. So I'm not judging. I'm saying this is where we come into the picture. Tuning in, what's going on in Minnesota? Pushes the woman. This guy steps in. Hey, what the heck? As he's recording and holding the phone and hands up, bear mace, bear mace, bear mace, and rah, 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 and then everyone, and he's struggling. It's like, oh no, this isn't a guy you shoot. Total disaster. But we need more context. We need more facts. I think we need more facts. That's actually kind of interesting. Like, do we need more facts than that? I'm not sure that we do. I'm not sure that that clip that I just described terribly isn't all you need. Um, well, you would want to know more, and there may be more relevant information. Um, very well, maybe, but does it kind of boil down to that interaction? Quite possibly, and it's a freaking nightmare, and it's too bad, and they shouldn't have been there, and I wouldn't have had a gun. Not saying he didn't have a right, because again, it's not like he was getting aggressive. It's so sad. Apparently, he was an ICU nurse and a really nice guy from what the reports. Now, if he was in, I don't know anything about him, so if he was could be the greatest guy, could be a terrible guy. But the early reports were that he was known to be a nice guy. And he looked like he had dignity and integrity to me, to be honest with you. And so he went out in a way of, you know, went out. People though, that's life. I mean, I don't want to. No, not. It's not just that's life. This is crazy, and this is why I'm talking about it, and this is why you know this is not just life, but in a way, zoom out. Life is crazy. We're so lucky to have the stability. Those of us who have it, mm, we take risks. some, to varying degrees. And on some level, that there's a possibility you don't come home that day. You're probably not expecting it, but there's a possibility when you're Alex Pretti that morning. So um, it's wow and terrible. And I hope justice is done. And I hope we all find a way to bounce from this in a positive direction. That's all I've got. I hope you've been enjoying the show lately. Herb was a great guest yesterday, and I'm going to be continuing to bring back friends of the show, I call them, who I've hosted several times over the years on the old podcast, Searching for Political Identity, like my friend Brent Freeman of the Aiming Up podcast, Herbie K, who's now running for Congress, Scott Bell, my friend who's in Canada, who I always talk to about geopolitics, and of course, continuing to network with random people, some people running for office, and just thought leaders in general. So, seeking fun conversations and trying to make sense of the madness and trying to make some positive contribution in some small way. So, um, we're in this together, guys. That's all I know. Have a great weekend.